Okay, I saw Smile 2 last night, and I understand that what I'm about to say next is gonna be controversial, but I don't think it's too soon to say that the Smile franchise is, in my opinion, the best original horror franchise of the century so far. I know. I'm not saying that they're the best horror movies of the century. I'm saying it's been far too long since we've had a horror franchise that is genuinely as terrifying, as original, as well made, and as fun. These are genuine horror blockbusters that draw in huge crowds. Yes, they incorporate jump scares, but the jump scares only work because of how terrifying the actual lore of this fucking creature is. And listen, I know that like specifically fans of like Insidious or like the Conjuring franchise are gonna come for me here, but those are not consistent enough to really be good. And frankly, they're kind of polarizing. I don't even find Insidious that scary. I know, crazy. And I know there's gonna be people in the comments that'll be like, but you think Smile's scary? Yes, I do. I brought my Nido gumdrop with me because I knew that I was going to be an anxious wreck, and I damn near tore this thing apart. I was shaking for a solid 15 minutes after the credits rolled. This movie scared the absolute fuck out of me. Really interesting thing about Smile 2 is that it is really effective at being its own thing while also like emulating the spirit and essentially copying the formula of the first movie. Like, there aren't a lot of surprises in terms of where the plot goes, but because the setting is so drastically different, there's a lot of different ways to like approach the way that this monster is terrifying. And I feel like whereas the first film had a lot of like strong themes about depression and loneliness and isolation, this one really taps into not only like addiction and drug use, but the idea of fame, the idea of performing. And I think the idea of fame and performing is different now than it would have been like 10, 20 years ago because of social media, because everyone now is performing to an extent. Not everyone has like the isolation of being extremely famous and being like dehumanized in a way, but everyone knows what it is to pretend like you are something you aren't, or you're feeling something you aren't, or that you're succeeding at something you aren't on the internet for an audience, even if it's just of your peers. I'm also just wildly impressed with writer-director Parker Finn for the way this film incorporates the dance and performance into the horror. Like, it is some of the most beautiful imagery that you absolutely cannot look away from, but you want to, because it's fucking horrifying. I also think it's absolutely crazy that this was the concept for the second film, because even though I think I overall prefer the first a little bit, I think that the ending was stronger of the first film, although I really did enjoy both of them very, very much. It's crazy to me because the theme of like the smile demon just works so specifically for this story. Like, the imagery of anonymous strangers smiling at you being horrifying works so well for the themes of like the anonymous adoration to the point of dehumanization of fame. Like, it's just crazy that that's like the backup idea, you know? Also, Naomi Scott is just incredible in this. Like, this is a very flawed character, but she brings such vulnerability and earnestness to it that you really root for her. Like, that is what I like about these movies, is they really do feel like human stories, like, that are very full of nuance and like multifaceted characters. Seriously though, I do recommend that you have a plan for how you're going to manage your anxiety when watching this, because I genuinely think that my resting heart rate was off the charts the entire time I was watching this. It is really, really spooky fun though, very, very appropriate for spooky season. I recommend staying with friends because it's a blast, and also you don't want to have to drive home alone like I did.